Okay, so I have started recording. Now let me go back to my. Hi Mukhtar, while trying to complete the project hosting dynamic website, received the following error. I don't think you can post images in this chat. So images and files you can post in this chat for security reasons. You can only post text. So as I always say, I would love to help you troubleshoot, but that will really take a lot of my time. I just really like to focus on teaching something. If a couple of people are able to get it, then take that as an assignment, right? Try to troubleshoot and see if you can figure it out. But if you're able to tell me exactly, maybe type out the error you're getting, maybe I can quickly tell you what the answer is to that. Otherwise, let me see. From last class, from week 4, who was able to get those labs done? Anybody? Type 1 if you're able to get the labs done from last class. Okay, very good. All right, let me see. I have people from all over. Now I see Germany, Canada. Hello, Kemi from the UK. Kemi, thanks for joining. If you're new to these sessions, please make sure you watch the previous sessions. I'll share the links to the YouTube playlist. So every week is recorded. You get the link to the playlist for the previous sessions. Guys, I want us to just go ahead now and get started so we have some time for the career Q&A at the end, okay? We're just going to go ahead and get started now. Good thing with Zoom, if you're joining, great. I don't have to keep typing admit. that was a little bit annoying with Google Meet, right? For every person that joins, I had to click on admit. All right, so whoever joins, I guess they can. Now I see from 21, we're now at 29. Great. All right. Can you all? Let me share my screen now. Yep. Okay, which screen am I sharing? Screen 2. All right, I want you all to tell me, can you see my screen? Can you see my whiteboard? I have a whiteboard. Can everyone see my whiteboard? You can just text in the chat if you can see my whiteboard. Okay, give me 1 second here. Participants 31. My chat. I'm put my chat to the side here. You can see you all. Okay. All right. Let me get one more response. Apart from Mustafa, can everyone see? Tell me, what did I draw on the screen? Let me try to draw something on the screen and see if that works. Okay, not really. Give me 1 second. Okay, you all see the whiteboard. Good. I don't want to save board. Stop drawing. "30 participants." No, my internet connection is stable. What is it talking about? No, but I bought a new laptop last night. I just need to set it up. I bought a new laptop with 12 gig RAM. I just thought this laptop needs to change. Yeah, but I'm still using my old laptop. I'm still waiting to set that up, but let's see. Okay, works now. All right. Can everyone see this? Sorry, what did I draw on the screen? Just want to make sure everyone is seeing what I'm doing. What did I draw on the screen? What shape did I draw on the screen? Okay, very good. Let's move on. All right, guys, the first thing I want us to do today is I want us to go to our AWS Management Console. Okay, go to our AWS Management Console and go to EC2. We're going to create a role. Remember what we talked about last class, okay? If you want to copy something from S3, let's say that our developers put code in S3, right? And we're going to put a new code today in S3, okay? So great thing, you guys now know how to host a static website. You know how to host a dynamic website, okay? That's a, you know, that's gold right there. You can use that to, you know, go out there, at least maybe wait a few weeks, let's learn a few more things, and then you can maybe start doing some freelance jobs, right? Help people host dynamic website on AWS and all that. But first, there's still a little more things to learn, okay? All right, so just to make sure that we still understand this point, right? For service A, let's say for example EC2, to talk to S3. In this case, developers are putting code in S3, right? For you as a solutions architect and as the cloud engineer to put on your company's website, right? Now, the EC2 needs what we call a what? Quickly in the chat. Let me also start testing you guys now. What does this EC2 need to be able to copy that code from S3? What does it need? What does it need? Role. There you go. Rehab. Very good job. Very good job, Rehab. Rehab and Al-Mamoon and Asu. Very good. So we're not going to do full admin. Remember, we can just give it S3 full access, right? Without giving full admin. That means the EC2 will not be able to do any other thing but, you know, S3, which is what we want. So for those of you that are, you know, that are maybe have some security background, cybersecurity background, you know that there's this concept of least privilege, right? You should always give the least privilege possible. Don't just give admin to everything. So in this case, if you want EC2 to be able to pull your code from S3, then of course just choose S3 for full access. You know, choose S3 full permissions, whatever it's called in the console. So now let's go to IAM, guys. Click on IAM. Okay, let us click on IAM. All right. IAM is loading. Don't we need AIM? We'll get there. We'll get there. Today's topic is about AMIs and load balancers. But first things first, let's get this first part done. Because I have so many programs open. So now let's go to roles, guys. Let's go create a role. Let's go create a role. Let's go create a role. Okay. Okay, before we move on, let me close a couple of my tabs. So this might be because Chrome, I know, gets slow when you start having a lot of things. So just to make sure, you know, the code that we're going to use today, we're going to get it from this website. Like I've always said, you know, give credits to whom it's due. This website provides, you know, free templates for us to use. So we're getting that. Today's website was going to look like this. Okay. So let me close that. And then this is the preview of what the website will look like. Right, so the code that your developers are giving you today, when you load the website on a server, if you're able to successfully do that, this is what you're gonna get. Okay, beautiful looking website right here. This modern looking beautiful website. Okay, it's the other dynamic website that your company wants you to to host. All right, and make it available and show them the power of the cloud. All right, so I'm gonna close that as well. And then I hope you guys have this. Let me see here. You guys should have that open. Let me give you the link to the lab files. If you're just joining for the first time, you need access to these files right here. I drop files in this Google document, right? So let me post it in the chat. Okay, so all of the lab files you should be able to find them in that drive. Okay, so if you're able to open that, you can access all of these files that I have in my Google Drive. All right. Okay, so now moving on. So roles, guys, we're inside of roles. Now go ahead and click on create role. Go ahead and click on create role. let's create. I know we created a rule from last class, okay, but let's just do this again because I want us to add something else. Remember last time? Let me ask that as a question here now. Actually, before we move on, last class when we created our EC2 instance, guys, what tool did you guys learn? If you did not know about the tool before, you learned about a tool last class that allows you to SSH into a server. What is the name of that tool? What is the name of that tool? Very good. Very good. I like that. Mobile XM. So today we're going to use a tool created by AWS. And if anyone can remember, let me see if anyone can get this. What is the name of that tool that we talked about that can help us, instead of using Mobile XM or Putty, there's a tool created by AWS, right? It's a feature within an AWS service that will allow us to be able to SSH. There you go. Session Manager. Excellent. Excellent. Session Manager. Okay. Someone was trying to join that Google Meet. I need this is gonna happen. Tell them they can see in the chat. Admit, see the message. Please join the Zoom link. We're no longer using it. Oh, sorry. Okay, guys. Yeah, Session Manager. All right, so click on EC2 on this page. Click on EC2. All right. This is this role. We want to create a role for EC2. Okay. Once you select EC2, go ahead and click on Next Permissions. Go ahead and click on Next Permissions, Next Permissions, Next Permissions. Waiting, 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 waiting. Okay. I knew this was gonna happen. People are still trying to join my old link. It's okay. All right. Yeah, I know. I know. All right. So guys, let's add S3. Yeah, Mohammed Khan. I believe so. But of course, after today, I'll be using my new laptop from next session. Okay, guys, let's add S3 full access. Okay, check that rule. We want to add this role. We want to add this role. Okay, go ahead and click on Next Tags. Go ahead and click on Next Tags. Actually, before I forget, click on Previous. Okay, go back to Previous. Go back to Previous. Okay, we want to add another role. We want to add another role. Okay, make sure you've checked this one, S3 full access. Let's go ahead and type in SSM. Okay, in order for us to be able to use the Session Manager tool in AWS to SSH into our servers, to remote into our servers, we need another role. Okay, so go ahead and choose this one, Amazon SSM Managed Instance Core. Amazon SSM Managed Instance Core. Select that. Okay, please don't select another one. Select this one. Okay, go ahead and select this one. All right, I think we have enough people here. I'm gonna close that Google Meet so maybe it'll make this computer, more responsive. All right, so make sure you choose this Amazon SSM Managed Instance Core. Okay, now we're gonna click on Next Tags. Now remember, we've attached two policies. One that will allow us copy from S3 and one that will allow us to use what? Session Manager to SSH into our servers. Okay? Go ahead and let's give this, and we can tag this and say, let's tag this and say new web server role. Okay? So we know that we're going to be using this for our web servers. Okay? Give it a name and type new web server role, and then go ahead and click on review. Okay, we can also give it the same name here, new web server role. Okay, new web server role. Okay, just give it the same thing. Also add that for the description. Okay, also add that to the description and click on create role. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. All right, click on create role. Remember, we're a little crunch on time here. We only have 1 hour. Of course, sometimes we go over an hour, but it's all for a good reason, right? Uh, Normally, I won't like to keep you guys more than 1 hour, but please understand. Sometimes things happen, technical difficulties here and there. All right, where were we? Okay, now we've created that role. Okay, we've created that role. Very good. All right, now let's go back to AWS. Let's go back to our AWS console. Let's go back to our AWS console. Okay, so now guys, let me show you guys something here. Okay, last class, and we're not gonna repeat a lot about what we did last class. Okay, but here's what's happening. You have a server, and you guys already know what these servers are for, right? To serve your website to people around the world. Now, unless this is everyone coming from the world to access your server, right? Your company has a new web application. They need a server. You've gotten a server in AWS, and remember we said the hard drive to the server, we call it in AWS EC2, right? The volume, the disk drive, we call them EBS, right? EBS. Right now, if people need to get to your website, right? Remember last class, we talked about opening a security group, right? You can call this your fire. We can think of this as your firewalls, right? And in AWS, we call them security groups. Okay, I'm just going to use short forms for everything. We call them security groups. Okay, now in the security group, we allow 2 protocols, right? HTTP and HTTPS, right? And this one has 80 and this one has 443. And who do we open this to? Which IP address? To 0.0.0, meaning what? The entire world. Okay? We're allowing the entire world access our website. We're allowing the entire world access the website, right? On this address right here. Right? On this address right here. And then you as the administrator, right? You as the administrator, you're going to put the code on the website, right? You need to put the code on the website, right? You are putting the code on the website, right? And then you need to maybe, apart from putting the code on the on the server, you're also maybe doing some updates, right? So you need to log in as an administrator and do things that admins can do, but other people cannot do. Remember, we had to allow what? SSH. Right? Remember, we had to allow SSH for which IP? For our own IP, right? To keep it more secure, because SSH, remember, you're doing serious stuff with SSH, right? So we allowed our own IP to be able to get into the machine, and with this, we use the tool Mobile Xterm, right? Mobile Xterm. But now we said we're going to be using what? Session Manager. Please ignore the writing, okay? Just focus on what I'm saying instead of writing. So Session Manager, right, is what we're going to be using. Now with Session Manager, guess what? You don't need to open SSH anymore. Unless you're going to use this later on, then you can leave it open. But with Session Manager, guess what? It's even more secure now, right? You don't have to open SSH to anything, right? To your IP or to any IP. With Session Manager, once you attach that role that you see that we just created just now to an EC2 instance, you would be able to SSH into that machine and do whatever admin stuff you need to do on that machine. Okay, so let's go ahead now, guys, and create an EC2 instance, right? And create an EC2 instance. Okay. From last class, who still has the code we have in S3 from last class? The developer code that we had from last class. Who still has it in their S3 bucket? Who still has the code from last class in their S3 bucket? Okay, you still have it. But never mind. We have a new code today, right, that we want to use. Everybody go ahead and download this code right here. Dynamic 2. Okay, go ahead and download it. This Dynamic 2 code, and put it on your computer. Okay, now we're going to go put it in S3. We're going to go put it in S3. Let me see. I want to make sure I already have it in my folder. Source code. Okay, I already have it in my folder. Okay, so this code now, I want to put it in S3. all of this content right here, I'm going to go put it in S3. All right, guys? So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, take this, download it to your computer, and put it in that folder that we always talked about. Okay, put it in that folder that we always talked about. All right? Take all of this code, this folder right here, put it in this folder right here. As you can see, as I've done here. All right, moving on. So let me go to S3. Let me click on, how do we get to S3? We already know how we do that, right? So let me just go ahead and type S3 right there. Okay, we're going to upload a new code. Our developers have given us a new code to upload, and we've seen what that website should look like once we're done, right? We've seen what that should look like when we're done. Okay, so let's wait for it. Al-Mamoon said I've already done that. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, guys, let's create a bucket. Let's create a bucket for the new code. Follow along now. Even if you have the code from last class, you can see I also have the code from last class, but follow me again if to add this new code, okay? Let's call it dynamic 2. Let's just give it the same name. Dynamic site, let's say dynamic site, right? Dynamic site 2. All right? I'm hoping someone from around the world has not taken this name already. Leave region as the same. Leave that checked. You already know what all of these are. Bucket versioning, no, we're not doing bucket versioning. Server-side encryption, click on enable. And leave the default that's checked right there. Click on advanced settings. Okay, we're not gonna enable object lock. Go ahead and click on create bucket. Let me see. Hope no one is taking that name in the world for this bucket that I'm creating. Okay, awesome. Nobody took the name in the world. All right, so now I have it right here, right? This bucket has now been created. Remember this bucket? We want to use this bucket to put the files that our developers have given us for this new web application that they built, right? This new website, web application, whatever you want to call it. All right, so let me open it now. Let me open it now. Okay, and now let me go to that folder where I have that folder downloaded. Okay, so I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna open that folder. Now this is all the files we need that our developers have given us that makes up this new website or this new web application. All right, so I'm just gonna drag and paste, not paste, just to move it. Just move it into here. Move it into here. All right, and let's just wait for it to load. Who is following me so far? Can I get a couple of threes? Tap the number 3 if you're following me so far. Very good, very good, very good. Love that, love that. All right, moving on. All right, let's see. Yes, we didn't want to enable bucket versioning. We know about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and click on upload. Go ahead and click on upload. So it uploads everything for us. It's uploading, it's uploading, it's uploading. Okay, if you have faster internet than me, then yes, yours will be much faster than mine. All right, okay, so mine says it's uploaded. Okay, now I'm going to click on exit on the top right. I'm going to click on exit on the top right. Okay, now this is the bucket, and very good. Now I have the files in this bucket. Now, guys, today, here's a shortcut I want to teach you guys. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a code. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a code. And this is used in what we call user data. Remember last class, we had to first create the instance, and then we went into the instance and we did all of these commands right here. And we had to, one by one, we had to type this command. Do you guys remember? Type 4 if you remember. Type the number 4 if you remember us doing that last class. Exactly, right? Remember, we had to start, we copied this, we pasted it in when we logged into the machine using mobile xterm, right? We started to put all of these codes in there just for us, to put the code on that machine. But today there's an easier way we can do it, okay? Now, what I want us to do is, I'm going to give you guys this code. Actually, it's already in your Google Drive. I want you guys to open this out. Open this out and copy it and paste it in a text file. This EC2 bash script right here. Open this in your computer, right? Open this. You can just double click on it. Google Drive opens it for you. So just copy everything. Open a new text editor and paste it in there. I want us to make some edits. Just one edit before we continue, okay? There's a cool thing about AWS, guys. See how I'm excited to talk to you about this? is we don't have to remote into that machine to start typing one by one those commands. All right. There's a way we can do it so that when we're launching the instance, we can paste this entire code, right? We can paste this entire code as we're launching the instance. We're going to paste this entire code right here, starting with this bin bash. Okay. For those of you that are advanced, you know a lot of Linux, you know a lot of scripting and all that. You know what I'm trying to do here, right? We can paste this code as we're creating the EC2. There's a section called user data. We can copy all of this and paste it in there. And guess what? When our EC2 machine has been launched, when our EC2 machine gets launched, it will already have the what? The website running. As long as we have the correct role attached to the machine, and we've put the right bucket in there. So now what we want to do now, guys, is let's go and get the name of the new bucket that contains the new code. First and foremost, let's go to our S3 bucket, get the name. This is the name right here. Let me just go back to my S3 bucket to make sure we're all looking at the same. Just click on buckets, come back to here. Remember, this is the new bucket we just created that we added the new code that our developers have given us, right? That, hey, this is what we need to host for the new application for our company. All right. Now, go ahead and copy that name, and in that code that you just have now, change this to the name of the bucket. Okay, that needs to be changed to the name of the bucket. That needs to be changed. Let me give you guys 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Type 5 if you got that done already. There you go. All right, awesome. All right, now guys, let's move now to EC2. Click on services at the top. If you've been to EC2 before, you should be able to see EC2. If you haven't been to EC2 before, just type it in here. Sorry, I'm talking fast. As you know, we only have an hour for these sessions. All right, click on EC2. Okay, let's go to EC2. Let us go to EC2. How many people are on this call now? Let's see, will this show me? 36. It's a great number. And my first video, I just saw it's over 1K views now on YouTube. So people are starting to find these videos. Great. Let's see here. All right, instances. Let's go ahead and type, click on instances. Once we're on EC2, go ahead and click on instances. Okay, go ahead and click on instances. Remember, our goal now is to load that new code that our developers have given us for our company's new web application or our website. Remember, I said I'll always be using website or web application interchangeably. Okay, it doesn't matter. All right, so I don't have any running instances. So what we want to do now is launch instance. Go ahead and click on launch instance on the top right. Go ahead and click on launch instance on the top right. Okay. Launch instance. All right, remember we're going to choose the first one, Amazon Linux 2, because most servers in the world run on Linux. Okay. Go ahead and select the first one. We're going to use that Amazon Linux 2 AMI. That's AWS provides. It comes with Linux operating system. Go ahead and click on leave the default. Okay, T2 Micro. We want to use a free tier eligible one. Okay. All right. Go ahead and click on. Make sure this is checked. Click on configure instance details. Okay, a couple of things I want us to change here. Leave the default VPC. All right. Subnet, let's choose 1A, just so we're aware that in which availability zone we're working in. We have a subnet here in availability zone 1A. Just choose that 1A. Now the next I want to do is IAM role. Okay, IAM role, change that to what? New web server role. All right, new web server role. Okay, shutdown behavior, also change that to terminate. Okay, all right, and then here is what makes things a little much faster for us to do. Okay, now if we paste that code here, as long as you've done everything correctly, guys, copy your code now and paste it in there. Okay, copy your code and paste it in here. Paste it in there. Paste it in that box. Okay, user data. Remember, user data. Here you can add a script that would automatically run some commands on your server before you are able to before it presents it to you. Okay, so once you see that your server is up and running, give it like a couple of seconds, okay, to make sure that all those commands have ran, and then test your website. Now, if I've done this now, if I've added this code in here, I don't need to use mobile XM to log in and, enter all of these codes again. Okay, it's going to do all of this for me before I'm able to, then go ahead and use this server for what I want. All right, so paste that code in there. So much easier than mobile XM. Yes, but remember, mobile XM still has its purpose, right? Maybe you want to do something beyond all of this, right? You're an admin. You want to delete something on the server or something. You still need to be able to remote in. This is just the initial stage, okay? Something to make it more faster for you to do something on that machine before you get inside of the machine, okay? In this case, this code that I'm giving you guys will already what? Copy the code from S3 and put it in the what? In the folder that is created by Apache. Okay, so all of that will already be done if this server launches. Okay, so we don't have to do all of this again. Anything beyond this, then you have to remote into that machine and do that. Okay, all right, so go ahead now, guys. Exactly, Mohammed. Yes. Bootstrap it. Yep. All right, so go ahead and click on add storage, guys. Go ahead and click on add storage. 8 gig is fine. 8 gig is fine. Go ahead and add tags. Let's call this server. Let's call it. Give it a name. Give it a name and let's call it web server. Okay, let's say web server 1. Okay, because at the end of the day, I wanted to have at least 2 because of the AMI that we're going to do later on. Okay, but let's call this our web server 1. Okay, call this web server 1. Remember, we're on step 5, adding tags. Don't get lost. Okay, name web server 1. Arquan, you might have to watch the video. Sorry, I really cannot go back now. You can watch the recording later on. It was the role that we created in the beginning of the session. Okay, it was the role that if you missed that that part, please watch the video because we're really short on time in this 1 hour sessions. Okay, but don't worry, you can still follow along and just watch. All right, go ahead and click next, guys. Configure security group. Okay. Let's just create a new security group. Okay, let's create a new security group, guys. Let's call this our web server. Let's say this is the security group we're going to start using from now on for our web servers. Okay, go ahead and call that web server SG. Okay, you can also copy that and paste it in here just to give it as a description as well. Web server SG. Okay, web server SG. All right, now what do we want to allow for this security group, for this firewall? Okay, we want to allow HTTP. Okay, we want to allow HTTP. So the world, remember, for the world to see our website, we need to open this port for them. Or door, like I say sometimes. Where's HTTP? Right there. HTTP, okay. Let's say anywhere. Okay. Add another rule. Go ahead and choose HTTPS. Of course, we're not using HTTPS for now. We don't have certificates. Don't worry about all that. Just do this. Okay. Go ahead and say anywhere as well. And then for SSH, for us to SSH into it, still go ahead and do SSH. Okay, go ahead and do SSH to your own IP. Okay, to your own IP. Use your IP. All right, I'm not gonna do this now. I don't want to show my IP to to the world for now. I don't. Of course, I trust all of you, but I'm gonna do that in another screen. Okay, so go ahead and click on. Make sure you choose here, guys. SSH. Okay, and choose your IP. Actually, I'm on VPN, doesn't matter. All right, go ahead and choose your IP. All right, so click on next, review and launch. Okay, now we've done that. Remember, SSH, we're using it for our own IP just to be more secure. Okay, we're not allowing SSH people to be able to SSH from the world. We're only allowing our own IP. Okay, go ahead and click on launch, guys. Go ahead and click on launch. Okay, go ahead and click on launch. All right, choose a key pair. Choose a key pair. Create a new key pair. Okay, or if you have the one from last class, I believe the key pair from last class was called, if you choose an existing one, let me ask you guys, do you guys have your key pair from last time? Yes or no? Type, okay, let's just create a new one because I know some people might be new here. Create a new key pair. Okay, choose create a new key pair, and type, just call it web server key. Web server key. I already have one called web server key before, so I'm just gonna put one in front of it. Okay, create a new key pair, call it web server key 1, and click on download. Okay, click on download. All right. So once you click on download, make sure you know where it's downloaded to, guys. Very important. Make sure you know where it's downloaded to. Just to keep things, very organized. I'm gonna go to the folder where it's downloaded. I'm gonna go to the folder where it is downloaded, and I'm gonna put it in the folder for our class. Remember the folder for our class. Okay. Now I have the old key here. Let me paste it here. Okay. I can delete this one. I don't need it anymore. The one from before. It's fine. Okay, so paste it in your folder for this class. Remember, you should have a folder on your desktop where you put your files for this class that I give you. Okay. All right. So guys, now we have this new key in there, so that's fine. Now we can click on launch instance. Now we can click on launch instance. The instance is launching. Click on the ID here that's given to you. Click on this ID here to take us to the EC2 console. Okay, it says pending. Now look, guys. Notice I didn't have to remote into the machine and type all of these commands one by one. Remember, the goal of the user data is for us to be able to do some of these things before we get into that machine, right? Instead of letting the machine launch and then remoting into it and then typing all of this AWS user data section that you guys saw allowed us to just paste this code, all of it in there. So it'll run it for us and, allow everything to be already run on the server before we get. So once we're done with that, we should know that what? If we get the DNS of this server right here, we should be able to see our website. Whatever website we have in this bucket that we copied into our server, right? Using all of it. You guys understood how we did this from last class. I'm not sure if you can rename your IAM role. You might have to create a new one. Security group exists. Yeah. Then add one to the security group name. Yeah, you probably already have that. Yeah. Add something new to the security group name. Okay, just add a random text. So it's for your role. Call it web server role. Web server role. Remember, if you're following, we call it web server role. Okay. All right. So let me just wait for it, guys. It says it's running, but let me give it a few minutes and then I'll test. Okay. You remember when your server says running, always try to make sure, always wait for this status check to show complete. Somebody said, wow, the website is running. It worked already for someone. Very good. I see you're excited. All right, so I'm just waiting for mine. Sometimes you don't have to wait for this status check. Sometimes if you go and test your website, it might be already working, okay? But I usually just like to wait. But let me test. It doesn't hurt to test, okay? Let me check the web server now. Let me copy the DNS. Remember, we're going to act like this is the URL that you're giving your customers, right? Your end users. You're saying, okay, here's the website. Here's the address to my website. Go and see if my website is up and running. So let me copy that. This icon right here allows you to copy this DNS right here. Okay, now let me open a new tab, guys. I want to open a new tab. Dock to bottom, yeah. Dock to bottom is better. All right, so let me paste it. I don't need my Google Drive, so I'm going to close my Google Drive tab. Okay, I think you guys got the link to the Google Drive already. All right, let me close that so it makes my computer run a little faster more. All right, fingers crossed, guys. Let's see if mine will work. Enter. It looks like it's going to work. Oh, I get a site can be reached. I don't know why, M. Khan. Don't worry, you can follow this lab again and be able to get it done. Web app is online. Antoine, you got it correctly. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Antoine, right? Me too. Sylvia got it working. All right, excellent, guys. All right, now, guys, think about this. Great job on getting that done. Okay? So, in essence, I would say keep this code, just keep this code, in a safe location. In the future, let's say, for example, you have a code. Maybe you guys are trying to test other codes from other websites. You get some other examples, right? You take that code, you copy it into an S3 bucket. Okay, you have everything in this code to allow you to get an EC2 up and running, right? So all you need to do is once you have that code in that S3 bucket, just change this name right here, and then do what we did, and then you have a website up and running. Okay. You don't need MariaDB. I mentioned that in last class. You don't need MariaDB. You don't need PHP. Do you need PHP? You don't need PHP. This website doesn't. But just because, just keep it in there. Okay. In the future, we're gonna need those. Okay. In the future, we're gonna need those. But just leave it there. You take this code and keep it. All right. But you get the gist here. If you change, if you add a new code to a new bucket, you want to see what that website looks like. You want to host it. Okay. You need just use this. Okay, just use this, and then maybe you're gonna use a higher instance type. Okay, if it's in the real world, you're not gonna use a T2 micro. Okay, you're gonna use instance types such as like M5. Okay, it is recommended to use instances like M5 instances, but of course this will cost you money. But the T2 we're using are free for us to test with. Okay. All right, guys. One of the main things we want to talk about today is Amazon machine images. Right now, guys. Now that you have this machine up and running and it has your website, right? It has your website, okay? What if you want to be able to create the same type of machine in the future, okay? With the same website and everything running just exactly as it is right now, okay? Without doing everything from scratch, right? Without having to do that, even that user data thing that we just did, right? Let's say you already have a working server that people are able to navigate to your site, right? Well, assuming this is the URL to your website. People are able to navigate to your website and they're able to see your website. Your website is working fine. They said, oh, very nice. It's very beautiful website and all that. Okay. So now let's say in the future, this website crashes, right? Then you have to do all that work again, put the user data script in there, launch it again, and then give them the URL again to the new server. Okay. But how can you make things easier for yourself, right? You use something called Amazon machine images. Amazon machine images. In essence, think about it. Amazon machine images. We're creating an image for this server, meaning whatever we have running on this server right now, if we take an image of it and we create an instance, a new server, a new EC2 instance from that image, you will get exactly what is on that server when you took that image. Does that make sense, guys? Does that, yeah, think it's like a snapshot, but it's beyond a snapshot, right? It's better than a snapshot, right? With a snapshot, you're only taking a snapshot of the hard drive, right? But with this one, with AMIs, it's better to take an AMI because with AMIs, it's just easy for you to use the AMI to launch a new instance, right? And also because sometimes, although we are adding one ABS volume to this server, in some cases, some companies will have 2-3 volumes, 2-3 EBS volumes on a server. Okay? So in those cases, an AMI will take a snapshot of everything. Right? Let me not say snapshot. We'll take an image of all of the what? Of the hard drives. Okay? So AMI is better because what? If you have let's say you have another hard drive here. Right? An AMI would take the entire image of everything, the whole package. Okay, but a snapshot only takes what? An individual snapshot of a volume, okay, of your EBS. Individual snapshot. But for an AMI, the whole package. So it could be that what? You have files in here and files in there that makes up your website. Okay? Don't worry, I'm getting a little too advanced here. But just take a note that what? AMIs are just better than snapshots. Okay? With an AMI, you take the image of the whole system. Okay, no matter how many EBS volumes it has, an AMI would keep, when you use an AMI to launch another instance, you have exactly the same thing with the exact number of what? Volumes that are in there. Okay, so we're a little short on time. Let's go ahead and create an AMI for this server. Let's go ahead and create an AMI for this server. How do we do that? Click the server, click on actions, click on image and templates, click on create image. Okay, now let's give this a name real quick. Let's call this web server image. All right, for a description, let's give it the same thing, web server image. Okay. Leave the volumes as exactly what it's coming with. What else? What else do we need to change it? Don't change anything else. Remember what I just did is I gave it a name and I gave it a description. Okay. And then yeah, just go ahead and click on create image. Okay. Go ahead and click on create image. Go ahead and click on create image. Who is following me so far? Type the number 7. Type the number 7. Who is following me so far? Very good. Excellent, 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 excellent. Love to see that. Love to see that. All right. Remember, this is all about hands-on, hands-on, hands-on. So when you're applying for jobs, you can be confident that you've done hands-on. It's one thing to watch videos and not do hands-on. It's another to actually get in, and get a feel, right? Hands-on is always what makes you stand out. Okay. So please make sure you try your best as much as possible. Don't just watch these sessions. Make sure you're following. Make sure you're doing these things in the console. I can understand if you get lost. Don't worry, you get the video later on. So you can go back and. All right. EMIs will take some time. Okay. Once we've done that, you can just come back here. Come back here. AMIs, and then you'll be able to see AMIs. All right. It will tell you if it's still creating or if it's done creating. Okay, let's see what we have. Let's see what we have. I just clicked on AMIs on the left here, guys. Okay. I'm just going to put the same name in there. Okay. So remember we call it web server image. Let me just let me just add a name here. Look at what I'm doing. There's a pencil icon here. Let me just add the same name just so I can easily recognize this. Okay. Web server image, web server image, web server image. Cool, cool, cool. Now, as you can see, it says pending. It says pending. All right. So pending, pending, pending. Pending, pending, pending. How many people are on this call? 36. All right. We can just refresh. Refresh. All right. This might take some time. As this is going on, let's go ahead and create a load balancer. But before we do that, let's talk about what a load balancer is. Now, guys, from the name itself, load balancer, and please forgive me, I'm going to use the same diagram here, okay? I'm going to use the same diagram here, all right? What I want us to think about here is, in reality, when you have a website up and running, it's not recommended that you have just one running at all times, okay? It's recommended that you have at least how many, guys? Especially if you're in production. How many? Who can tell me in the chat? How many should you at least have running at all times? How many servers should you have running at all time? If it's a production, 2, at least 2, at least 2. Do some companies have more? Yes, right? So at least 2. So now we're gonna have another one, right? It's better for us to have another one, right? And then in order for people to get to that website, right? Remember, all we've been doing so far is giving them the DNS, the address, right, of this one server. Now, when we launch a second server, that will also get a DNS, right? And in this case, for your customers to see the website on this server, you have to give them what? The DNS address. So nobody wants to be doing that in real life, okay? So in essence, if you have two servers running, then it's better for you to create a what? A load balancer. Okay? It's better for you to create a load balancer. Okay? Now this will load balance between what? How many number of servers you register with the load balancer. Okay? So think of this, guys. Now let's follow the step carefully. I know we might have to go a little over an hour today, but this is important. Okay? Remember, today we're supposed to cover AMI and load balancers. Now follow me, guys, carefully. You've done the work of putting up your first server. You hosted the website, you put the code in there, you did all that great work using user data. You guys saw how we did that, right? Now you want to create another server that can also serve traffic to your customers. Remember, we're assuming that these are your customers. These are your customers from the whole world, your users, your end customers that need to go to your website, right? In reality, you don't want to be giving them, go to this DNS, go to this DNS, right? You want to have one DNS address that you give them. And this DNS is backed by what? By what? 2 servers in the background. In the background, behind this load balancer, you already have what? 2 servers that are going to be serving the traffic to your website. Okay, so in essence, we can erase this, we can erase this a line right here, right? Where's my eraser? I was trying to erase now. Okay, we can erase this right here, this line right here. I can just erase that. Okay, we're not going straight now to the servers anymore. We're coming through what? We're coming through what? The load balancer. So now your customers will what? Will get one DNS. Right? And when they go to that address, they will be routed to either this server or this server. The load balancer does what we call round robin. Meaning what? Let's say 20 people are coming to your website. It will send 10 people here, 10 people here. Right? So it will spread the load. It will distribute the load. Rehab, I like that. Yes. Distribute. Good word. Right? It will distribute the load to your web servers. Right, now moving on, guys. Let's go and create a load balancer. I hope you guys got the idea here. If you guys got the gist, type 5 you get the idea of what a load balancer is. Type 5. Type 5 so we can move on. Okay, very good. All right. So let's go. Let me refresh this and see if my AMI is now working. Oh, good. My AMI is available. All right, guys. How about we do this? Let's create a second server from this AMI. Remember, we are in AMI. Don't forget that. We are in the AMI page. Right? Now, as you can see, we have our first server running here. I'm going to close this. And think of this. I want you to keep this in mind. This is the first web server we created. It ends in 102. You can also see this from the console. Let's just take note of this now, okay? Close that. Let's launch a new one. We're going to call this web server 2, right? Now look at what we're doing. We created an image of the first server. Now, things are much easier for us now, right? If we want the same server with the same website, the same code running, let's just use the image. Okay? So go ahead and click on launch instance. Check the image you want to use. Right? This image is running our current web server as we know. Okay? Click on launch. Right? Go ahead and click on launch. T2 micro, yes. This is a test environment. Remember, if you're in a production environment in real life, the recommended one is M. Of course there are other types as well, depending on your use case. But in reality, for general web servers in production, use the M type. That's gonna cost you money. That's not free tier. But for now, we can practice with this free tier. Go ahead and click on next. Configure instance details. Make sure you have that checked. Next, configure instance details. Let's put this in 1B. Okay, remember the first one we put in 1A. Let's put this in 1B. Okay, 1B. All right. What else? What do we change here? Role. Don't forget our role. Give it that same role. Okay, so it can pull the code from S3 as well. In this case, it doesn't need to because the image itself has everything in there already. If you understand what that means, okay? But at the end of the day, we still want to give it this role just in case we want to do some copying, some other type of copying from S3 in the future. Still give it the role, okay? Shutdown behavior, terminate. What else do we change here? We don't have to add that text here. And I'm sure you guys know why we don't have to add that text here, right? Because the image we're using, remember, the image we're using already has all of that in there. Okay? So don't add any text here. I think we're done with everything we need to do here. We've added the role, okay? Now go ahead and click on next, add storage. We're going to leave it as 8. Go ahead and click on add tags. Let's give it a name here. Let's add a tag. Add a tag and call this name and give it a value of web server 2, guys. Give it a value of web server 2. Okay? Go ahead and click on configure security group. And click on configure security group. Which security group should we use? We have a security group that we're already using. Choose an existing one. What do we call it? Web server security group. Okay? Web server SG. All right? Let's use this one. Web server SG. Okay? Go ahead and click on review and launch. Okay? Review and launch. Go ahead and launch. Okay? What key pair do I want to use? I'm going to use my web server key 1. Okay? My web server key 1. You guys should have your own web server keys. And now I'm going to click on launch instance. Okay, now I'm going to click on launch instance, and I'm going to go to the console. I'm going to go to the console by clicking on the ID over there. Uncheck, exit out from this. Click on this X icon to not filter by this instance we just created. Click on this X right here, and to just show us all running instances. Okay, or all our instances. Okay, as you can see, the second one we created is now pending. Okay, it's pending. Let's wait until it says running. Now we would have another server running in another availability zone, right? And as a best practice, it's better for you to spread your servers across multiple availability zones for high availability. So in case one availability zone goes down, which rarely happens, I haven't seen that happen before, like one AZ go down, maybe flood or power or anything like that. But in case that happens, right, it's a possibility, you have another server that is still running. So your load balancer, right, think of this. If this goes down, and now we go ahead, we create a load balancer, right? Remember, we're still going to do that. We create a load balancer. Now, because people are not accessing the individual DNS of these servers, they're going through our load balancer. Our load balancer would know that what? This one has gone down. So what? Our website is still going to be available, right? It'll be serving traffic to this new one now, okay? So the load will be heavier, but at least our website is not completely down. Okay, but at least our website is not completely down. All right, guys. Now let's test. Remember, we used an image to create the second one. Can we choose 2 instances from the beginning instead of? I don't really understand, but let me try to get this. Let me test this. Let's test this, guys. I don't know if any of you have tested it. So take the DNS of the second web server. Okay, now test. Remember, see, this one ends in 93 and not 102. All right, so enter. Let me see. Did it work for any of you guys? Let's see. Fingers crossed. I think it's going to work. I already see my grayscales. Worked. Very good. All right. So now we have 2 servers. And remember, we don't want to keep giving people this address, right? Hey, go to this server. My website is running on this server. Nobody does that, right? Get a load balancer. So let's go and get a load balancer, okay? And then behind our load balancer, what are we going to do? We're going to put these 2 servers behind our load balancer. Let's go and do that now. Scroll down on the left. Glad it worked. Mohammed, glad it worked. Sylvia, Mamoon, glad it worked. All right. So now, guys, let's go ahead and click on load balancer right here. Click on load balancers. Load balancers. Okay, click on load balancers. Can we use launch instances like this function? When can we use launch instances like this function? I'm not sure if I understand that question. All right, go ahead and create load balancer, guys. Wait to the Q&A session. If you guys still want to stick with me till the Q&A, then I'll give you another 10-15 minutes to ask me questions. Okay? Your career related questions. I know one of the promise for this sessions is have a time for you guys to ask your career related questions. All right, create load balancer, guys. Let's try to get this done. There are 3 types. There are multiple types of load balancers. There's a new type of load balancer actually I'm seeing here. Gateway load balancer. This maybe must be new from the new reInvent, but don't worry. This is the one we want. Application load balancer. Okay, this will help us with our HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Go ahead and click on create. Okay, application load balancer is what we want. Let's call it web server LB. Okay, let's just call it web server LB, meaning our web server load balancer. Okay, type is going to be internet facing. All right, leave that as internet facing. Listeners, HTTP, yes. I want you guys to choose all. Our load balancer should be able to talk to our instances in all of our subnets. Right, wherever we have, in whichever AZ we have a subnet, let it be able to what? To talk to those instances in there. So go ahead and check all of that. Okay, check all of that. Okay, and now go ahead and click on next. Okay, don't worry about this message because we're not using HTTP for now. All right, go ahead and click on next. Okay, in step 2, if you get this message right here, this warning, don't worry about it. Go ahead and click on configure security groups. Okay, I want us to create a new security group, okay, for our load balancer. I want us to create a new security group for our load balancer. Now, because the world is going to be what? Accessing this load balancer, right? This load balancer is what the world is going to be trying to hit. Your customers from the entire world, they're going to be trying to hit your load balancer. So let's allow the entire world to hit your load balancer. Okay, so let's allow them on which ports, guys? Of course, you already know, right? HTTP, and that will be anywhere. Okay, anywhere. And add another one, HTTPS, anywhere. Okay, and that's it. Go ahead and click on configure. No, let's give it a name. Let's give it a name. Okay, let's call this a name. Let's call this our ELB security group. I'm gonna put 1 because I've tested this before. Okay, you don't have to put 1. I'm putting 1 because I've already created a security group with this name. Okay, guys, so you don't have to put 1. So for the description of this security group, I'm gonna put 1. I'm gonna put the same thing as well. Okay, remember, you don't have to put 1. I'm putting 1 because I already have something like that before. All right, so now I'm gonna click on. Remember, we created a new security group. Don't forget, guys, create a new security group. Allow ADM 443 anywhere. All right, go ahead and click on configure routing. Okay, give this. When you're creating the load balancer, you create what we call a target group. This target group content will have the machines that you want this load balancer to route traffic to. Okay, this target groups has the machines that you want the load balancer to route traffic to. Okay, so let's just call this web server target group. Okay, it's to an instance. Okay, it's to an instance. All right, leave everything else as default. HTTP port 80, yes, and leave this as this slash right here. There's a slash in there in that path. Okay, that just means this is how the load balancer will be testing those servers, right? All this means is the load balancer is trying to go to the home page every time, right? We don't have to know however many seconds. I mean, we're gonna see that later on, but just think about this. How would the load balancer know if one of your servers is down or not? It needs to keep it needs to keep testing the home page. Okay, so this here allows it to test the home page. If you wanted to test something other than the home page, then put the path in there, right? Put the path in there. Okay, maybe there's another file in your web server that you want the load balancer to test in order to check if that web server is alive or not. But in most cases, you want to leave the index.html page. Okay, and in that case, this slash right here is enough to point to your index.html page. Okay, and so it will now start using this to test that web server. If it's down, it's not going to route your customers, your end users to that web server anymore. It's just going to route to the other web server that's available. All right, so now check advanced health check settings. Yes, it does health check. So check advanced health check settings. Healthy threshold. How much does it test before it knows if a web server is alive or not? Let's just use 2. Let's not 5 is too much. Okay, that's the only changes I want you guys to do here. All right, on healthy, how many times should you test before it can say that a web server is no longer alive? 2 times. Healthy, 2. Test twice. Unhealthy, test twice. Timeout. If I test, how long should I wait before, if I don't get a response, then I know maybe to test again. Okay, 5 seconds. Okay, between each test, how many times should I? What's the interval? If I test now, how long should I wait before I test again? 30 seconds. Okay, that's that. Go ahead and click on register targets. Okay, remember, leave these numbers at 2, 2, 5, 30, 200. All right, guys, register targets. We're almost done for the day, guys. We're almost done. You're learning something great today, guys. Now we want to add these 2 servers. Okay, we want to add these 2 servers in the future, guys. There's gonna be a session on auto scaling. Okay, but don't worry about it. I know some of you that are maybe advanced. You're thinking, we can do it behind the auto scaling group, right? Yes, we can. But, we want to take baby steps, right? Baby steps. Okay. So now, guys, we're going to manually say that we have 2 servers that are running in 2 availability zones. So load balancer, please route our traffic to these 2 load balancers. Okay. So now we're going to check this. It's telling us, hey, you have 2 servers that I see in your console. Are these the servers you want to route traffic to? Yes, they are the ones. So click on check those 2. Okay. Check those 2 and click on add to registered. Okay. Click on add to registered. All right. Remember, check these two servers that you see and click on add to registered. Now go ahead and click on review, guys. Go ahead and click on review. Review. All right, go ahead and click on create. All right, go ahead and click on create. Go ahead and click on create. Create. All right, now go ahead and click on close. Let's go ahead and click on close. All right, go ahead and click on close. All right, it says it's provisioning. Let's give it a few minutes. It said it's provisioning. It is provisioning. It could take a couple of minutes, a few minutes. In the meantime, what else are we supposed to do today? We've done AMIs. Now we've done load balancers. We're pretty much done for the week. But let's test to make sure that our load balancer is working. Okay, let's test to see that our load balancer is working. Okay, now guys, it doesn't matter how many servers you have behind the load balancer. At this point, if you're using a load balancer, you want to stop giving your customers, your end users, the direct link to your server, right? It doesn't make sense to do that, right? You give them the DNS of this server, you give them DNS. No. Use a load balancer. Now you have one DNS that you can give them, and then what? Whatever servers are alive behind the load balancer, they'll be able to reach your website, right? Because your website exists on all of these servers. Okay? So now it's still provisioning. Let's just give it some more seconds. It's still provisioning. Add to register means for what? Add to register means add these servers that I have into my load balancer. So the load balancer is aware that I can only route traffic to what? These two servers that are registered to this target group. Okay, Rehab? Very good. So remember, with the load balancer, you have a target group, and the target group has your servers, right? Now, in order for your load balancer to recognize the servers, you need to register them. You need to register them into the load balancer. And don't worry again, guys. You don't have to get everything now. Remember, I'm recording this so you can watch this again. And I didn't learn all of this in one day. You got, yeah. It takes repetition, guys. It takes repetition, right? Remember, I always say that. It takes repetition. Okay. I'm just waiting for my load balancer. I'm just waiting. Active. So now, guys, look at this. Now copy that. If yours is like maybe shortened like this. If yours is not showing all of the link, you can always do this. Look at this. Make sure the arrow is like that, and then move it out to see the entire address for the load balancer. So now you can copy all of this. And this is what you want to start giving your customers, your end users, right? Because now you have what? 2 servers that are backing this load balancer, that are behind this load balancer. In the future, can you add more servers behind the load balancer? Of course you can. Okay, so now let's test. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's paste it. Let's hope it gives it one of our servers. Looks like it's working. Worked, guys. Worked. And now you can have this confidence. Great job, guys. Great job. Now you can have this confidence of high availability, right? Remember, I talked about high availability last class, right? In real world, for production systems, you don't want to have just one server running at all times. Okay, you want to have at least what? 2 servers running at all times. You want to have at least 2 servers running at all times. Now, believe it or not, if I refresh, it's taking me, it's showing me this website from my second web server. Right? If I refresh again, and by refreshing, I'm assuming that someone from around the world is trying to visit my website. If I'm refreshing here, it just means that I'm trying to attempt like what? A new person is trying to access my website. And if you do that, guess what? It's going to take people from what? Web server 1 to web server 2, web server 1 to web server 2. It's going to start balancing the load on those 2 servers that we have. It will start balancing the load on those 2 servers that we have. One last thing before we go, guys. One last thing. And maybe you don't have to follow me on this. If you're very fast and you can follow me on this, I just want us to test something out, right? Just to make sure that if we're using our load balancer, we're actually going from server 1 to server 2, right? We're actually going from server 1 to server 2. Before we do that, we talked about session manager. What I want to do now is I want to put a code. Not a code. I just want to put a text in this web server. This is very cool, guys. If you're able to stay with me and watch how I do this, this will help you in real life as you try to troubleshoot something sometimes. Okay, let's just do this one more thing. Let's do this one more thing and add this to this week's video. Okay, I'm gonna put a code here that will say this is web server 1, right? And I'm gonna put a code on the second server that says this is web server 2. Now, before I do that, remember, for me to do that, I need to log into those machines. And before we've been using mobile xterm. Now we don't want to use mobile xterm anymore. We want to use something that is more secure, that AWS provides us, and that is Session Manager. We're going to use Session Manager to log into the servers, and then what? Edit our website template, right? Edit the website code, and add a text in there, in each server, that says this is web server 1, this is web server 2. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go to our instances. Okay, let's go to our instances. So this is our 2 web servers. Remember, our load balancer now is directing people to either this or this, either this or this, either this or this. Okay, now let us go to Session Manager. Click on Services at the top, guys. Remember, I need to add a code to my website, but I'm not going to do that using mobile xterm anymore, right? Because from now on, we want to start using Session Manager. It's more secure. We don't have to open SSH port. Okay. All right. Go ahead and click on Services. Search in here for Systems Manager. Systems Manager. Okay. Click on Systems Manager. Click on Systems Manager. Note, this is not going to work if you did not add that SSM instance core policy that we added to that role when we created it. Okay, just to make sure, let me go back to that role. I'm going to go to IAM. Just wait for me. Let me just go check to make sure. Let me go to IAM and let me check the role that we've been attaching to our servers when we were launching them. We need to make sure that that particular policy is added to the server. It's part of the role, right? Before we can use this. Remember, I talked about that in the beginning of this session. So let me just check. I'm looking at this role right now. I want to go ahead and look at this role, web server role. And I want to make sure that it has SSM instance core. There you go. It has it. This is what's going to make SSM work, guys. This is what's going to make SSM work. And if you're just attaching this role, it takes sometimes 15 to 20 minutes for Session Manager to recognize and allow you to see your instance and be able to SSH into it. That's why I made us do it at the first time. So now it's been more than 15 minutes, and now Session Manager should be able to show us our servers so we can remote into them and make whatever changes we want to make to the codes that is to the source codes that are that have been hosted on the servers. All right. So let me go ahead now. I'm gonna close this. Okay, let me just leave this. This is a web server. This is a load balancer URL. Let's just leave that. All right. Now we make sure that this is here. Let's go back now. Go to Systems Manager. Don't worry, guys. I'm not looking at my chat now just because I want to get done with this. I'll answer your questions at the end. Okay. Systems Manager. Type Systems Manager. Type Systems Manager. So Session Manager is a feature within Systems Manager. Okay. So now, guys, we are inside of Systems Manager. Now go to Session Manager. I'm hoping that it's taking its time already to make sure that I can use my Session Manager. Fingers crossed. Session Manager. Click on Session Manager here, guys. Click on Session Manager. Click on Session Manager. In real life, if you guys are working on AWS, you become a cloud engineer tomorrow, an AWS Solutions Architect, what do I recommend? Using PuTTY, Mobile Xterm, or Session Manager? What do you think I recommend you use? Type in the chat. What do you think I recommend you use? Of course, Session Manager. There you go. Okay, so sessions. Okay, now I'm in sessions. Don't worry, it says there are no active sessions. Let's click on Start Session. I'm hoping, I'm praying that my 2 servers are already in there now and I can SSH into them. Okay, click on Start Session. Yes, they're in there. Type 7. Type the number 7 if you can see yours. There you go. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, guys. Now let's go into the first one. Let's go into the first server. Web server. Click on Start Session. Okay, click on Start Session. Check the first server. Click on Start Session. Okay. Click on Start Session. I'm going to go a little fast here. Don't worry, you can watch the video. If you're able to follow me now, great. And do the changes I'm about to do. That's great. If you cannot, don't worry, you can watch the recording. Okay, here we go. Guys, we're successfully inside of that first web server. Now we can do anything we want to do here. Remember, we did not use mobile xterm or PuTTY, right? And we didn't have to open SSH port 80. If you had that open in your security, you can go and close it, and you see that this will still work. Okay, so let me go to my folder where we have the website code in. var www.html cd var www.html ls. So I have my codes in there. Okay, now I'm gonna do sudo nano index.html. I can also hit tab, and it will complete it for me. So I want to be able to edit this index.html page right here. So now I'm gonna scroll down. Let me find, I want to add it right after here, start bootstrap. I'm gonna add it right at the bottom of this, start bootstrap. So let me look for start bootstrap here. There you go, I found it. It's right there. So I'm gonna go to the end of this and add a new line. I'm gonna go to the end of this code right here. If you know HTML, you know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna go to the end of this. Remember, this theme created by start bootstrap is right here. Theme created by start bootstrap. I just want to add something here in this web server 1. Okay, I'm gonna say this is web server 1. Okay, and I'm gonna Control X, Y, press Y, and then press enter. Okay, now I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna close this session manager. Okay, I'm gonna close, or I can say terminate. Terminate session at the top. Yes, I'm gonna say terminate. I'm terminating for our web. So now let's go and do that for our second web server. Let's go and start session. Let's go and do the same thing for web server 2. Okay, but now we're gonna say this is web server 2. Okay, go ahead and check that and click on start session for our web server 2. Click on start session for our web server 2. Start session, start session, start session. All right, start session. Great. So CD to where we have the code, HTML, ls, to show me the files in there, to make sure, okay, they're in there. So now sudo nano index.html, enter. Okay, in this second web server, let me also add this code. For those of you that know the shortcut and like, just do Control Z. I forget my shortcut sometimes. That's why I'm using my arrow keys. Okay, so this is web server 2. Okay, Control X, Y, enter. All right, now I can terminate this. I've done the changes I want to do on these servers. Okay, I've done the changes I want to do on these servers. Fingers crossed, guys. If I refresh this page, it should start telling me if I'm on web server 1 or on web server 2. Okay, not the best, but it's still there. I don't know if you guys see that. Web server 2. Right? It's showing me now that this is web server 2. All I just did here is, because we're now using our load balancer address, I just did this to test, right? Which server are we actually talking to at this time? Okay, which server are we talking to? If you understand what I just did, type 9. Now if I refresh, as you can, if you see, it's showing me web server 2 now. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, as you can see, I can start refreshing and it will tell me which server it is serving that website from. So that's that, guys. If I keep refreshing, it will keep changing, right? It will keep changing between web server 1 and web server 2. I had nano does not exist. So that might be that might be an issue with the code. You might have to watch this again from the beginning and make sure you use everything we use. If you use anything different, it might not work. Thank you guys. I hope you've learned a lot. Remember, the purpose of these sessions is so that a lot of people ask me on my LinkedIn, right? I'm trying to get hands-on. How can I get hands-on? I'm trying to learn cloud computing. How can I get started? I started these sessions, for the general public, and also for myself as well, right? We're teaching you guys this. I continue to retain this knowledge, and as I learn more about these things, and I teach it to you guys, I'm better able to retain them. If you haven't read my articles yet, guys, if you're new to cloud computing, I've written an article, okay? And I have a sample template resume for you to use, Okay, use that sample template resume. Everything that I list on that sample resume, everything I list on my sample resume is right here. You can learn it. All of the resources you need to learn everything in this sample resume, I put it in my article, in my LinkedIn article. Okay, let me see if I have that article here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have the LinkedIn article here. So I have this LinkedIn article right here. 2 goals, guys. If you're looking to become a cloud engineer, a solutions architect, read this article. Use my template resume. Again, I'm always big on people not, cheating or lying on exams or on resume. Please, if you don't have Python, Python knowledge or anything, don't put it on your resume. Go over the course that I put in here. Okay? Go over the course. Some of them are free, some of them are $10 Udemy courses. Buy them, guys, learn them, and then comfortably put them on your resume. For hands-on, join me for these sessions, right? And learn a lot of cool hands-on tricks, tips, everything you can do to even become a freelancer, right, in the future. Okay? Join my these 1-hour sessions on Sundays to get this hands-on experience and be able to list those on your resume as well. Okay? Now I'm gonna open. You can unmute your. Before we do that, guys, please shut down your servers. Okay, shut down your servers. I'm not gonna go through that. Please, you should be able to do that. Go to EC2, go to your servers and terminate. Okay. Let's say you're lost sometime in the future, right? Remember, Google is your best friend. YouTube is your best friend. If you want to find out how you terminate your instance, how you delete your S3 buckets, Google them, guys. But as a best practice, shut down everything we do in class, okay, in these sessions, in these free 1-hour sessions. So at least you still keep your feature usage, right? You don't use up everything that AWS gives you. All right. Yeah, sorry about that. And sometimes if they charge you for some reason, you can always contact support, and tell them you were just using it for labs. Can they please refund you? They're actually very generous with that, guys. I can tell you that. Okay, if they charge you for some EC2 instance that you forgot to terminate at some point, or maybe you got past your free tier for a given month, you spent over 720 hours within a month for an EC2, and then they started charging you, then guys, you can open a support ticket with AWS. Explain that. If it's something that cheap, $1, $10, sometimes they will, they're really very nice about that. Okay, they're really very nice about that. Okay. All right, guys. Now unmute if you want to ask me questions. I'm gonna take 2 questions for today. Okay, I'm gonna take 2 questions for